You know, it's funny because I see people nodding saying, yes, it happened to me. Yes. I've got to go to the old ones because the oldest ones are the best. There's a man who comes into a shoe store. A shoe store, you must have heard this. Tell me after how many have heard this. A man comes into a shoe store and he's an old man. But the shoemaker's even older. And he says, listen, he says, you may not believe this, but I was here, I was in the military, we were stationed near here. I was here 40 years ago. 40 years ago. This is ridiculous, he can't. He said, well, tell me what? He says, I left a pair of shoes here. 40 years ago? He says, yes. He said, well, he said, wait, tell me, wait a minute. He goes to the back, and he says, mister, them shoes, was they brown? Yes. And the left heel was down? Yes. Missing the lace on the right shoe? He says, yes. They'll be ready on Tuesday. Look at this, we can use all the old things. In the 50s, there was a story about a spy. You know, Ben Gurion was the Prime Minister of Israel, and he calls one of his chief intelligence officers in, and he says, we have a real problem. He said, the Arabs have a weapon, a really powerful weapon. We can't defend against it. And the only way that there's a weapon, it's in the United States, and our spy there has the blueprints, and you have to go immediately because the state of Israel is in danger. He said, what? He said, listen, you're going now, a plane will take you to New York, and you go, he gives him the address in Manhattan, and he says, you go there, and the man's name is Morris Cohen. Morris Cohen. Here's the address. But he says, I'm going. He said, no, wait, there's a code. You have to give him a password. What's the password? He said, the sea is blue, the sky is red. Gets on the plane, goes there, comes to a big apartment building. He sees Morris Cohen. He's about to ring the bell. There's a Morris Cohen on the first floor. And then he sees there's another Morris Cohen on the second floor. Morris Cohen must sort of think, what should he do? Well, he has to do something. He rings the lower bell. He sees a shadowy figure behind the door. He says, Morris Cohen? He says, yes. He says, the sea is blue, the sky is red. He says, He says, you want Cohen the spy? Upstairs. Yes. I have one from several from my dear cousin here. An elderly Jewish couple goes on Aliyah. They move to Israel. And 2 weeks after they arrive, there's an alarm. There's an attack. And they start running to the shelter. And all of a sudden, Becky turns back. And Morris says, where are you going? He says, I left my teeth in the glass. He says, Becky, they're throwing bombs, not sandwiches. I'm censoring my material because we're in shul. Normally I can tell some risky things. By the way, someone I know in Jerusalem, he has a plumber, and he calls the plumber his Mashiach. He never comes. Since I'm going downhill, I'll go further. Someone told me, he said, 1 in 5 people in the world are Chinese. He says, now there are 5 people in my family. I must be one of them. It's either my mum, or my dad, or my older brother Chaim, or my younger brother Ho Cha Chu. But I think it's Chaim. Yes, fellow goes to the cleaners. Cohen's dry cleaning store. He arrives there. It's changed. It's now Ahmed's dry cleaning. What happened to Cohen? He retired. I spent years, I bought out the business. Anyway, he says, Friday, he says, okay, he drops off his talus, comes back, and he says, how much? And he says, $49.95. $49.95, it's $5. He said, yes, but I had to get all the knots out. Yes. There's a priest, I'm talking a lot about him today, comes to his Jewish neighbor and he says, you know, we've had a lot of burglaries recently, but I've noticed that the Jewish homes have not had any burglaries, and I've noticed something else. On your doors, you have this little thing on the door. I think it's called a mezuzah. He said, that's right. And that protects against this. He said, well, I wouldn't say, he said, no, I know. I want one. He said, you want one? I want one, now. So he gives him a mezuzah with the cloth, with the scroll inside. You know, the priestess look pretty ragged, you know, because things are going bad. Finally, he comes back a couple of weeks later and he looks even worse. And he says, what's the matter? Didn't the burglary stop in your house? And he said, yes, but something worse came. He said, what? Schnorrers. Listen, I'm going to have to switch to something else. I see a sale by owner in the newspaper. Sale by owner. Complete set of Encyclopedia Britannica. 45 volumes. Excellent condition. $500 or best offer. No longer needed. Got married last week. Wife knows everything. This they like. Yes. Maybe someone can help me out here, because I see that the other jokes, well, I'll tell you another. This is going to leave you totally cold. A man comes with his mother to the ophthalmologist. She's got a terrible pain. She can't speak a word of English. So the doctor says, ask her what's wrong. He says, Mama, was out there? She says, the oig, my eye. Ask her, which eye? Das rechte oig, the right eye. What's wrong? Wusartig. Es tut weh, it hurts. How long has this been going on? Wie lang geht es schon? Seit Tisha B'Av. It is since the temple was destroyed in the year 70. I knew you'd get just a 3.5. Yes. You know El Al? How many of you have flown El Al? Not as many as Florida, but it's good. Would you like dinner? The flight attendant says. Maisha says, what are my choices? She says, yes or no. Since I'm on El Al, you know, an El Al flight arrives in December, late December, in Israel. It's landing. It's landed already. And the stewardess says, the announcement comes over, will you please remain in your seats until the pilot gives you the signal. And the stewardess says, to all those in their seats, Merry Christmas. And to those of you standing, pulling down the luggage, moving everyone out of the way, Happy Hanukkah and welcome home. This I've told on Yom Tov as well. I won't be able to tell anything on Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. A woman goes into a coma. This is very sad. A woman goes into a coma. She's out for months and months, and the daughter sits there staring, nervous. What's going to happen? And finally a miracle happens. She opens her eyes. She looks up. And then she looks totally frightened. She says to her daughter, "Oh my God, you've got to help me." She says, "Well, my memory's gone. My memory's gone. Who is it I'm not speaking to?" All these groans, people. Yes. People ask me, what is it like, explain culturally Jewishness. He said, well, it's very simple. The Frenchman says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have wine." The German says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have beer." The Jew says, "I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have diabetes." There was a rabbi, they asked him once, do you mind if people look at their watch when you're speaking? He said, "I don't mind when they look at their watch. What worries me is when I'm giving a sermon, if they look at their watch and they go like this." That's what frightens me. I've got about 5 to tell you, and I'm not sure. You know about the man who comes to the rabbi and he says, he looks awful, he looks bedraggled, poor and miserable. He had a great business. He said, "What happened?" He said, I'm ruined. Is there something you can do for me? Is there something you can tell me, something you can help me with? He says, I can't, but I tell you what, take the Chumash, take the Tanakh, take the Bible, go and stand by the lake, the wind will blow the pages, you'll look, maybe you'll see something that'll give you some idea what to do. He comes back 2 months later, he looks wonderful, wearing a beautiful suit, his wife is with him, she's wearing a mink coat. It's summer, it's 85 degrees, she's wearing a mink coat. By the way, what did one mink say to the other? "See you in shul on Rosh Hashanah." Anyway, and he says, "What happened? What happened? This is wonderful. Did you look?" He said, "Yes, I stood by the lake, the pages went back and forth, and there it came on one page. What did it say?" He said, "I saw it at the top, it said, chapter 11. This does not work in England, it doesn't work in Canada. It only works here. Many years ago I was in Milwaukee and I conducted services as a husband, as a cantor, in a senior center, an old age home, which was it was a very old age home, and the people were very hard of hearing. It was an Orthodox place, which meant that the men sat in the front, the women sat at the back. I stood here with my back to them, singing for 2 or 3 hours. It wasn't Rosh Hashanah, it was on Shavuos. It was a long service, and after the first day, a woman came up to me and said, we couldn't hear a thing. We could not hear anything. The next day, I screamed my head off. I yelled, I carried on, my throat was aching, I was sweating. At the end, I went back to the same lady who was at a certain age, and she didn't seem to know who I was. And I said, could you hear me today? She said, well, am I deaf? And then I said to her, tell me the truth. How did I do? She said, I hope you don't mind my saying, the cantor yesterday was better. 3 ladies pass on, and they go up to that great place in the sky. And the angel comes out and says, you have to tell me something good that you've done. And she says to the first lady, what can you tell me? She says, I'm Catholic and I went to church, I went to Mass, I took communion, and I did good deeds, I listened to the priest. He said, very good, room 1, go into room 1. The second lady says, I'm Protestant. I went to church, I listened to the priest, I gave charity, I did good work. She said, room 1. The Jewish lady comes, she says, I went to shul, I did everything, I kept kosher, I kept Shabbos, I kept Yom Tov. I did all these things. He said, very good, room 2. You know, why do you tell them room 1 and me you tell room 2? He says, listen dear, you're going to see God. Don't you want to get your hair done first? And when I told that to my sister, who by strange coincidence is also Jewish, she said to me, and this I'm not lying about, she said to me, didn't the other two